So the title of this video right now is Grace Makes Itself Known When You Cultivate Trust. But what does it mean to cultivate trust exactly? The relationship with the word trust sometimes becomes a little bit erratic, a little bit misunderstood. Some people might assume that trust means to follow blindly or to accept something, even though it might not be true in your heart. To be honest, sometimes you have to trust in yourself, even though you might be heading on the wrong path, because that will inevitably lead you towards the right path. Because it makes going that way makes you realize your lack of righteousness, your lack of the lack of God's presence within your life. And I'm not talking about that in a preconceived notion of good and bad, and I'm not being accusing. I'm including myself in this process as well. It is a natural process to permeate through our lives, and through this investigation/experience, we are growing our consciousness, and that will inevitably make the space in which consciousness is grow. And that means that consciousness is reaching darkness at every step of the way. And what this actually means is that the places in which God is not are constantly being found by God. And this process happens inside us as well. I mean, absolutely, there is no right and wrong per se, but you can definitely be able to discern whether something is godly like or not, if some action is aligned with the highest truth or not. And having that said, to be able to trust is to let yourself act only when you're aligned in the highest truth, and to be able to let go of any expectations and any desires that might divert you from the path of alignment. Now, of course, again, there's some caveats to this. You cannot simply choose to walk down this path. At least that hasn't been my experience. Sometimes I need to walk my own path and basically see why wanting to walk my own path doesn't work. Makes me realize that I'm not actually running the show here, but God is, life is, realization is. And so when we let go of the need to control our experience. Trust will come naturally, because to let go is to trust. To let go is to trust that things are working out towards a higher goal, towards evolution. But to be able to do that, we need to be able to confront our deepest, hardest sections of our inner being that we are afraid to look. We need to be able to look at ourselves and recognize where is it that we are not acting from a place of godliness, basically. Where are we wanting to preserve ourselves? In what part of ourselves are we trying to be someone? Are we wanting to be recognized? Are we wanting to belong to something? The nature of self-preservation, which comes from the ego, can be very, very camouflaged, even as a spiritual nature. What I have been finding out from my experience is that the more I look at those parts of myself, and once I look at them, I basically am directing my consciousness towards them, and that inevitably makes that part be seen and be heard and be understood. So to actually give it understanding to those parts is to make themselves dissipate, because they come in the form of feeling, they come in the form of grasping to be recognized, to be preserved, right? But consciousness purify things, not by, it's not like you're burning it away, but you're actually burning it with full comprehension. And when that happens, you are simply opening space for something more auspicious to take place. And that something auspicious is truth, is trust, which is the same thing, because to live in truth is to trust God's work, is to trust the natural process of evolution.